So this next story is one of those weird ones that I'd never heard about. It's called Lost Canadians. And as I said, there's been so much talk of late respecting what do you do as a Canadian? You want to cross into the U.S. Maybe you're there on a green card. Will you get back across the border? That's a completely different issue from this. This is all apparently because of a Canadian government, not an American government. So Don Chapman is the head. He's an advocate for Lost Canadians, which is the organization that advocates for the federal government to change the laws that protect Canadian citizenship. He is on the line. Don, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Aaron.
Let me begin by a little background here because I believe it's necessary. You were born in Canada to Canadian parents, but then all of a sudden, at the age of 6, an obscure section of the Citizenship Act stripped you of your status. What was that about, and how did you find out about that?
Well, let me start by saying I'm a retired airline pilot. Pilots don't ditch airplanes in the Hudson River and leave people behind, and they want to get to the very root cause of why a plane crashed. Well, I wanted to do that with Canadian citizenship law. I, too, was going, how come I'm not a citizen of my own country? Well, the laws of identity were written by the Brits, and word for word it said married women, minors, lunatics, and idiots will be classified under the same disability for their national status. So in 1961, I'm 6. My Canadian father and, my family moves to Seattle, but my dad took out U.S. citizenship. I didn't. He did. But I was his property in Canadian law, so Canada ripped up my citizenship. That's how I lost it.
So, but that dates back, you said, to the Brits. Are you telling me that entire time this never came up and was never modified?
It got modified, but they left in these provisions. Even to today, women have less rights than men in the Citizenship Act. So, yeah, this is still left over, and this is one of the reasons why we have lost Canadians to this day, is the Citizenship Act is not charter compliant. There are 6 deficiencies in the Citizenship Act, and it captures people in Canada where, people don't even know that they had lost it. Like Romeo Dallaire was shocked when he discovered that he was no longer Canadian.
Okay, so people start finding this out. You now make this your basically your life mission to go ahead and have these things change. Where are we on this now?
I'm going into bill number 12 on lost Canadians. And it is quite shocking. I mean, we've changed all the laws. How does a group of 5 or 6 people do that? It's quite interesting. But even what's interesting, I met Mark Carney the other day, and it turns out he had never heard of lost Canadians, but his kids are lost Canadians. They have less rights than others. So it is an amazing history, and in that regard, the Canadian history of citizenship has never been looked at or delved into until my group went in, and we've discovered all kinds of things that Canada has been lying about.
Oh, well, let's talk about that. You say you and your group, you sort of took this on as a mission on your own. People started finding out about it, and you've now heard from how many of these lost Canadians?
Oh, thousands and thousands
Wow.
and thousands. I mean, even members of Parliament turned out to be lost Canadians. And, I've been at this a long time. Denis Coderre, who is your mayor in Montreal, he opposed us. He fought us very hard and put one of a young woman from Montreal into judicial review to boot her out. And she was completely stateless. Very few people realize that Canada is one of the leading countries in the world at making people stateless, and that citizenship in Canada is not a right. It's a privilege. So if we were dumb enough to bring in a Trump-like prime minister, that person could cancel your citizenship and your respective right to vote.
Wow. Okay. Again, this is news, I'm sure, not just to me, but to many people listening right now. So where are you in the process? And by the way, if there are any people out there who want to know if they fit into this, perhaps they've had a situation like that where born here, parents moved, father took out citizenship somewhere else. Do they join your group? How does it work?
Well, I have a website, lostcanadian.com, but I'm only giving you my way. There are about 85,000 kids like me, but there were at least 15 ways to be stripped of citizenship. And that's where it really gets wacky, that the Japanese, everybody knows they were interned in World War II. How many know that Mackenzie King had 3,997 of them stripped of citizenship? or indigenous people, or the Chinese were told they were nothing more than stateless registered aliens. And the September 2007 issue of Refugees magazine highlighted Canada as one of the leading offending countries in the world at making its own people stateless. What I find fascinating is that Canadians don't know this. Why? Why has the media not been all over this? And then when you read the comment sections, it's always turned around and Canadians blame the lost Canadian for, hey, you should have known. No. Mm-hmm. Marlene Jennings from Montreal. She stood up and argued with the Liberals against us many years ago, and then it turned out that it didn't look like she was Canadian. And
this is a crazy story, and obviously the fact that there's so many people, of course, who find themselves in this position. Is government now, maybe by now I mean it's kind of a an in-between time, but is government now open to this idea of going ahead and recognizing this, modifying this, and correcting the mistake?
Yes. Bill C-71 died when the election was called. We won a court case. The judge is mandating one of the first bills that Parliament will get to when it comes in comes back to Ottawa will be another lost Canadian bill.
Okay.
But even there, that Bill C-71 corrected 4 of the 6 deficiencies. We still have to make citizenship a right, and then the big question, when did citizenship begin? And Canada says it began on January 1st of 47, but if that's the case, we just literally booted out 111,000 war dead from World War I and II.
Okay.
So this has huge ramifications. What I find interesting is nobody knows about it in Canada. And one other factor right now is we do have a lot of people who are affected in the States. And because we won the court case and because the judge said they're being denied their constitutional right of citizenship, we're trying to get them in as soon as possible. And like Trump has said, he wants to institutionalize autistic children. Well, we have one person with an autistic child, and they're afraid to even go out of the house. We have people that are trans or gay or whatever, and Trump is targeting these people. He put out an upside-down triangle out on his, I call it, liar social network. But that's what Hitler did to gays in Germany and sent them to the concentration camps. So I'm really wanting these people, like that appeared in the Globe and Mail's article today, I really want them to have priority handling. People that are Jewish, same thing. It's a big deal. And the question is, when does Canada have an obligation to protect its people? Is it when we won our court case, or is it only after they're citizens? But then you remember Alan Kurdi, the little boy whose body washed up in the ocean. Let's get these people in before somebody goes after them and kills one of them.
People hearing this now, let me ask you, Don, they may know someone who, they just found out is in a situation like this, or they want to reach out. What's the best way to do that? I mean, you're advocating here, you have this win in a trial, but people hearing this who did not know about this and are finding out about it now for the first time, what are you suggesting they do?
They can contact lostcanadian.com, and that's my website. And by the way, I don't charge for this. This is something I've been doing all my life. But become advocates. Try to get the media involved. There's where a real problem was when in 2006 and 7, Canada put all 45,000 war brides and their 22,000 children on trial to boot them out of Canada. And the Canadian press that year didn't do one story on it, but they did 345 stories on Celine Dion, Paris Hilton, and
Well, hopefully now
Britney
that this
Spears.
story is gaining some attention, I mean that will begin to change because, as I said, I'm sure a lot of people, as you said, rightly so, are finding out about this now for the first time. So let's hope there is some advocacy going on because clearly this is something that does need to be changed, more dire now with a Trump administration than perhaps it's ever been before. Don, I thank you for the time. The site again is lostcanadians.com. You can find out all the information there. Don, I thank you and I wish you good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.